People ask me all the time, so why did you call this thing the Wine Missionary? That answer's coming right up, so stay tuned. Los geht's! Hi, I'm Barron Beltz, the Wine Missionary. Prost! So, how did I come up with this wine missionary thing? Like, what is the whole idea behind this? Well, it'd help for you to have a little bit of history about me. So, for 25 years, I was actually in the wine business, the wine industry. And for many of those years, I worked for a distributor and one of the largest distributors in the United States. And this one's based out of Texas. And within this distributor represented thousands and thousands of wines and other products as well. And then later on actually worked directly for several different wineries. So one of those wineries was the Hess Collection Winery, which is owned by Donald Hess out of Bern, Switzerland, not too far from where we live right now, actually. And then another one of those wineries was the Michael Mondavi family. They have a group of their own vineyards and own wines, and then got to work with many other family-owned wineries and companies that were all throughout the world, and so that was a wonderful opportunity as well. So, yeah, the business was fun. It was exciting. Had lots of different opportunities to be in many different roles during that time. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I loved about the business was the people. Yeah, I mean, wine is cool and tasting wine and doing those kinds of things, but I really, really enjoyed working with the people within the business, the winemakers, the winery owners, the vineyard workers, the sales reps at distributors, and the management and all levels of management and fine wine managers. All these different people, just love the diversity of people and their skills, their stories, these kinds of things. And so that was always one of the major engagements for me in this business, was the people. Okay, so many of you are thinking right now, well, Barron, if this 25-year career in the wine business was so great, then why did you leave? Great question. Glad you asked it. The simple answer is because Jesus Christ told me to. Yeah, so me and my family, we love Jesus Christ. We follow him. And towards the end of my wine career, I could really see that what the Lord was calling me and my family into was out of the wine business, a wine career that had been wonderful and enjoyed it so much. And he was asking me to go to a foreign land and to serve him. And so that foreign land ended up being Germany, which just happens to be the country where my forefathers came from many, many, many years ago. So at first we lived in Berlin for 2 years. We were working with another family, and we were reaching out to refugees. So we did that for 2 years in Berlin. And then the Lord began to call us to the southwest of Germany. So now we're located in a small group of towns called Kandern, which is in the very southwest of Germany, which is in a larger area that kind of runs north and south along the French border, called the Black Forest or Schwarzwald. And it just so happens that in this area, there happens to be lots of vineyards and wineries on both sides of this border, not only in France and Germany, but also to the south in Switzerland. Really neat place. But here, recently, we are helping with hospitality ministry and then encouragement ministry with missionaries who are coming in from all over the world to come and visit their children at a local international Christian school here. And we love this ministry. We love how the Lord has called us here. So people ask me, well, so Barron, then why start the Wine Missionary? Like, what's the point? You were in the business, you left the business, now you're a missionary in Germany, so, what's the point? Well, Okay, long story short, I still enjoy wine, and to be in an area where you have access to wine from so many different nations, especially here in Europe, is really amazing. You see wines here that you would never see in the United States. So that's truly fascinating for me. Not only that, but European wine here is so much less expensive than what it is in the US. So as I'm enjoying wine, as we have friends over for dinner and these kinds of things, people are always asking me questions. They're always asking like, Barron, how do you open a bottle of wine? Or, Barron, how do you pick between this and that? Or, Barron, why is it when people say dry wine, I'd go, don't like dry wine. And so all these questions. Well, here's the interesting thing. These were the same kinds of questions that I always heard when I was in the wine business, and when I would do like wine dinners, when I would be at large wine tasting events and these sorts of things. I loved interacting with the public, with just the normal average person that liked to have a glass of wine from time to time. Well, they always had these same sorts of questions too. And so what I began to do was I said, okay, well, I might as well just start this thing called the Wine Missionary. It'll just be a website. But what I'll do is I'll just write about wine that I'm tasting and just tell people like what I've tasted recently and if I like it or not. Well, that began because I had a couple of friends in particular that said, man, all I need is a pocket Barron. Like when I go into a supermarket, I have no idea what I'm picking from thousands of wines. If you could actually tell us like where you go to shop and then what you're buying, how much it costs, that would be really helpful. And so there was birthed the Wine Missionary. The whole idea was literally just in my day-to-day, as I buy a generic bottle of wine at the grocery store, I would take a picture of the label and then I would taste it. So I would look at it, I would smell it, and then I would taste it, and I would just give my impressions about it, just in a quick little written paragraph. You can see that on our website, the Wine Missionary. And but over time, what we could see is that people really had a great interest, again, in these sorts of questions. I guess they're the kinds of questions that you just can't ask on any given day. Like you need someone that knows something about wine before you can ask these kinds of questions. Like, Barron, why is it that I like Merlot but not Cabernet Sauvignon? There's an example. Or why is it I like Chardonnay but I really don't like any other white wines? Well, these are the kinds of questions I'm looking to hope to answer on this YouTube channel and also on the Wine Missionary website. And so here at the Wine Missionary, we're really setting out to deliver a few different things for just kind of the average wine consumer, or even the wine lover, or even the wine connoisseur. And one of those is that just to make my personal recommendations on wines. So I taste lots of different wines from lots of different regions and different wineries and things. And so that's what I do. I just give my personal thought on the wine, whether I like it or not, whether I think it's a good value or not. So that's one of the things. One of the other things too is I really want to help the expat that's in Europe somewhere, help them to navigate the European wine scene a little bit. So, in the US, I think we have it a little bit easy when it comes to wine in general, because the vast majority of wines that we drink from California, Washington, Oregon, they are varietally labeled. In other words, they say Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, these kinds of things. Here in Europe, there are so many wines that do not tell you what the varietal is at all. So you just really have a guess. That's what I hope to do, is help people not to have to guess and be able to tell them that even though this name sounds so strange and weird, that you can actually figure out what the grape is based on the area. And so I'll be doing videos on that as well. And then the last thing is to answer your wine questions. So lots of the wine questions that I mentioned earlier, these are the wine questions that I want to answer. So like one would be, Barron, I like white wine but I really want to get into red wine because my friends like red wine, but I don't like red wine. Where should I start? That and Barron, what are tannins? And just on and on I could go. So I really want to try to answer a lot of those questions. So I want to invite you right now. Would you subscribe to this channel if you think that it's going to be helpful, and if it's information that you'd really like to know more about? Please like this video if you've liked what I've had to say. And then most importantly, in the comments, ask me some questions. If there's some questions that you have, it could be about German wine or European wine or whatever it may be, ask away and I'll do my best to answer your questions in the future. So with that, I'll say cheers.